Hi everyone, welcome to Miracle Wednesdays. I am still a little under the weather with a funky virus, but nevertheless, the show must go on. The miracles must continue. I am so grateful and thankful for today's live. I'm doing a collaboration today with an incredible teacher of God, and I am so giddy and I can hardly wait. It's going to be a lovely conversation, But before we begin and I introduce our guest for today, I wanted to read a lesson from the Course in Miracles to set the stage, to set the foundation and the inspiration for this talk today. So workbook lessons 221 through 234 really explains the truth about ourselves, like the truth about myself, the real essence, the light, the truth of who I am without my story, without, the personality self. And if you read these lessons all together, it's a beautiful love letter to yourself. So I encourage you to read all the lessons 221 through lesson 234. And I know you're only supposed to do one lesson a day, but this is more of a reading exercise of where you get to read to yourself how incredibly beautiful you are. So I'm not going to read all the lessons, obviously, but I am going to read a lesson. I tuned into the energy of my guest today and myself, and this lesson popped up. And I'm not sure why. Like the Course says, I don't know what anything means, but I know that it really will serve the purpose today in being truly helpful to us all collectively. So this is lesson 229, and I invite you to take this lesson into your hearts. If you want to close your eyes or leave them open, that's up to you. I also invite you, if you do have the space, you can put your hand on your heart. Love which created me is what I am. Love which created me is what I am. I seek my own identity and find it in these words. Love which created me is what I am. Now need I seek no more. Love has prevailed. So still it waited for my coming, that I will turn away no longer from the holy face of Christ. So basically, we won't turn away any longer from our true self. And what I look upon attests the truth of the identity I sought to lose, but which my Father has kept safe for me. Those are such comforting words, that our Father has kept our true nature safe for us, and it's always available for us. Father, my thanks to you for what I am. So we're thanking our Father for what we are, the truth of what we are, how humble. For keeping my identity untouched and sinless. Guys, we're untouched and sinless. In the midst of all the thoughts of sin, my foolish mind made up. So, all those like caca thoughts we think are all like foolish things that our mind makes up. And thanks to you for saving me from them. Thank you, Father, for saving me from those cuckoo thoughts, from those false beliefs. And then it ends with Amen. Amen, amen, amen. I'm in, I'm in, I'm in. I'm so grateful and thankful. Love which created me is what I am. And I can't help but think that my guest today, Danielle LaPorte, is a beacon for this, is a beacon for love, is a beacon for light. So I'm going to go ahead and bring her in. I'm really excited. And let's just open our hearts to this beautiful and lovely conversation and collaboration. Hi, beautiful.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Love which created me is that which I am. Did I get that right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Love which created me is that which I am. And I didn't want to give formal introductions such as this is Danielle. I really felt called before the interview to just share from a heart-centered space of how I feel about you, what spirit would share in reference to you, just very guided, very spontaneous. And it was coming up even before the interview. And the words were, you're such a light and so committed. And you do things even sometimes when you don't want to. And I love that. Like you're just in it to win it. When I went to Spirit, there was just such a guidance of how you are very willing. The Course in Miracles says that all we need is a little bit of willingness and miracles happen. And there's just a lot of willingness behind your work and what you're doing with your platform and in your life. But I think the biggest thing here is the change that you've made in your life for yourself, you know, being a single mother and, you know, all the obstacles and trials and tribulations. I think that that's what the audience could relate to, is really getting out of that and coming into the truth and love and light of where you are, and then coming in as this goddess and warrior and just stepping in the light, even beyond anything. Because I know what that's like. It's like you need to get over yourself. And one thing that I read, and I'm going to stop ranting, is I was reading the desire map, and I love something that you said in regards to the explanation of it on your website, like the details of it. And you said something such as, you know, the search for that job or that career, or like the goals, and then getting exhausted and stressed. It's like, that's what I love about the Course, that it brings us back to what is really real here and what really matters. And yes, you do things in form. You know, you're a bright light, you know, you have a business, but at the same time, there's an integrity there. And with that, amen. Here you go.
Do you want me to speak? Do you want me to speak to that? Like, that's awesome. Yeah, cool.
Well, I want you to share just a little bit about the first interaction I had with you in an email was that the eight Course in Miracles, you hold it dear to your heart. Mm-hmm. So let's start there. Why do you hold it dear to your heart?
Well, I got my first and the only copy I've ever had. I still have it. It's not on my desk right now. Of A Course in Miracles when I was 15. So there was I had a girlfriend whose mom was like super out there, and she had like chakra lamps, and it was like my first exposure to like sage and incense, and it was just like this whole other world for me. And I was spending, she lived in Michigan, and I lived in Ontario, and they said, I think it's time for A Course in Miracles for you. And I was like, okay. And I remember like I had on my Journey concert jersey and we went to this little bookstore, and yeah, and it was way too much for me, for like a 15-year-old brain. But I got that there was something there, and that text followed me. That book has been around the world with me. I was raised Catholic, and I feel like I'm a recovered Catholic. And my relationship and affinity with Jesus the Christ and Christ consciousness has gone through, I mean, it's just, you know, it's its own kind of flourishing. So being raised Catholic has, you know, its light side and its shadow side. So for me, A Course has a language that I resonate with. I don't have to interpret it. There's no, my mind doesn't have to translate what A Course says. And it helps me come back to my roots in this lifetime of being raised in sort of a Jesus-oriented space, and the upsides of that. There were years ago, I was able to hang out with the Dalai Lama, and he said, he was talking about compassion and religion, and he said, he said to me, it doesn't matter if you're Buddhist. He said, just compassion, heart, compassion. Doesn't matter if you're Christian, just compassion. And just kind of in his own way, what he was saying to me is like, go with what you started with. Just love your path. And that really helped me get out of this glamour of like, you know, I had so much, I had romanticized all of these other teachings outside of, you know, the genius, the Jesus lineage. Like, oh, there's more in Buddhism. There's more to what Lao Tzu had to say. Oh, let me explore Baha'i. And all that's great. I mean, I did my own comparative religion search, and we all know A Course in Miracles is not a religion. But there's something about A Course that feels very like home. It feels like refuge. It feels like compassionate teaching. It cuts through things. And I've really come to be in a place, and this is partly the Course and like my own kind of esoteric journey, like forgiveness is it. It's the reason the world is suffering. It's the call of the times. It is why the collective shadow is up. Like the only response required right now is forgiving. That's it. If we could just get that, if we could even just entertain that concept, so much pain that we're in right now, so much division, would dissolve. Yeah.
You know, the Course in Miracles says that forgiveness is recognizing that what your brother did to you, it didn't happen. It's like overlooking the veil of illusion. How can you simplify forgiveness and what it means to you? Well, I know what it means to you, everything, obviously, because it's healing. But I love to put it in layman's terms. Like if you would describe forgiveness in layman's terms,
Yeah.
what would that be?
Yeah, it's a great question. I feel like it's our natural impulse. I feel like the heart wants to forgive. So it's like the heart is for giving. The heart is for giving. The heart is forgiving. And I can see in my life times where I have talked myself out of forgiveness because, you know, my ego would just like hold them accountable. Oh, I'm so done with the accountability conversation in the self-help space. Like, I think we're not raised to forgive. It's not a conversation in most households. It's not a conversation in school. Like, there is right and there is wrong. When someone crosses your path the wrong way, there's accountability. We're raised in a punitive system. I mean, this is why so much organized religion is so damaging. It's like we have to earn our divine favor. We're going to be punished. Where is there a conversation about forgiveness with a punishing God? You know what A Course is all about, and so much, of real pure mysticism is teaching that, like, and back to your point from the Course, like what your brother did to you never happened. Like and I know this is so difficult for so many of us to like
It's
cognitively it's radical to wrap our heads around, but it's like, this goes back to like, this is how I would break it down. The heart is forgiving. It's our natural inclination. You forgive and you will be at peace. We're entrained to not think that peace is even appealing. We're so addicted to, the adrenaline of like motivation and the striving. That's so, this is, I spent a lot of my time writing about this, like the striving of the self-help culture,
I love that. I love that
Yeah.
you say that, because so many people suffer with that, Danielle.
Yeah.
Especially with social media and looking at social media.
Yes.
Like this drive to do more and more.
Yes. And I replaced Catholicism with the New Age, and I just turned the New Age into like another punishment tool. And I have to keep that in mind when I work with the content of A Course in Miracles, that because my ego, my shadow side, my inner child, same thing, my unhealed self will look at any teaching and find a way to punish myself with it. So I can read the Course and I go, oh, I'm not doing good enough. I'm not pure of heart enough. I'm not forgiving enough. It's all like, not enough, not enough, not enough. But to get back to like the meta point about it didn't even happen. We have to get to that the light creates everything. that the light, God, whatever term works for you, creation, God creates everything. So there is God in the darkness. There is God in the shadow. But we have free will to make a choice. It's like the shadow is, here's your, it's like, this is how I look at the shadow. Here's your option to play in the dark, to be unconscious, to mess around with some illusions. Cool, it's how we're learning. But let's not be mistaken. It's illusions. It's a movie. It's not real. This is not real. We're playing with things that aren't real. We're scripting and living and striving for things that aren't even real. It's shadow stuff. It's optical illusions. Like, it's there, but let's be clear what it is. So you can say, oh, you hurt me, and I have this grievance, and all of this, this damage is happening, but it's just part of the Maya. It's all part of the illusion. It's like not a genuine substance. Or you can use your free will and you can point it towards that which is true and that which is real and that which is light, which is the universal stuff. We're all from the same source. The heart is forgiving. The light will always win. Everybody's in. That's substance. That's outside of the movie. That's not Hollywood. That's not shadow. That's truth. And that requires a commitment.
Yeah. I always say it takes work. And it takes, being uncompromising, which is, being forgiving, even if you don't want to, just for your own sake, because it's going to release you from the suffering. In the world, we're taught that forgiveness is, it's interesting because the Course in Miracles talks about forgiveness in such a radical way, which is what we were just saying of like, you forgive in the world, you forgive something because it did happen. And in the Course is teaching us that you forgive something because you want to recognize that only the love that's there is what's really real.
Yes.
So it's actually not making it real when the forgiveness of the world makes it real and the forgiveness of the Course doesn't make it real. And it's very radical, but I can't help but think in my life, Danielle, and I'm sure in yours, is that every time that we take responsibility for our perceptions, which is what you just did, is like a sense of responsibility for your dream, for your classroom, that you can't be a victim of the world that you see. Bing! It's like you're powerful. It's like you're powerful. You're
God.
Xena, the warrior princess. You're like, I have power because we're remembering our Father. We've never left the mind of God. And again, the whole terminology, at first I thought it was because sometimes the terminology actually turns people off.
Yes.
Jesus, God, and all these things. And I always tell people that when you could get over that, if you can, now maybe it's not for you. That's okay too. But if you can get over the terminology and really see that the Course is just love, pure love, it's incredible the benefits and the reaps of rewards that we get. Danielle, Eckhart Tolle, the late Dr. Wayne Dyer, Oprah Winfrey, all these teachers, mainstream teachers, including yourself, they do talk about the Course. It's incredible. Like, it'll come up like in an interview, or like there'll be something there. So I feel that these teachers, they also use the Course in Miracles in their work. Do you find yourself doing that as well?
Oh yeah, totally. I mean, I have a heart-centered membership, and we have a facilitators program where, I've got hundreds of women who are out teaching about moving through polarization, and the Course gets mentioned. It's not, it's not the center of my work like it is with yours. I bring it all in. I have no resistance to sharing a Course at all. And I got over the terminology a long time ago. I just say to people, just get over it. I don't even really want to. Are we really going to talk? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
No.
I've told people, Danielle, you could call God. If you want to call God Pepe, just call him Pepe. It's fine. I mean, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Well, then people will say, why is it a him and the masculine?
Oh, call her Juanita. Let's call her Juanita.
Call her Juanita.
It's like, let's just make it light. One of the key things that and going back to the lesson today, which I shared, which is love, which created me is what I am, is we, our natural essence, and you spoke to this a little bit, is love. Like who we really are is love. And we've been like, we have this veil of illusion that has come over us that we forget. And we make this world very, very real. So we make our problems real, we make our life real, we make our personality real. And the Course in Miracles is saying only love is real, all else is an illusion.
Yes.
So how in your life are you able to kind of turn down the volume on the egoic voice and let go of like really making this real, the problem real, the situation real, and come back to the love that you are?
It's a big question. Before we get into that, some people are saying, can you tap the screen to turn off the chat? Because I think all they're seeing is the chat.
Can I
Conversation.
just tap it? Is that what I do?
I don't know. I should know this by now.
I'm not. This is like I'm very new, so I don't know. But let me see. Now all I see is the chat. Let me see. Hang on.
Now all you see is the chat. Okay.
Hold on. It's all good. All right. Well, I see
good?
you, and I see a bunch of words now. But hold on.
Oh,
So guys, if anyone can tell me how I can like take the chat out of Danielle's face, that'll be great.
And if not, we'll keep rolling because everybody just close their eyes and listen in.
Yeah.
Well, for me, this gets into some Buddhism. So the Buddha taught that all suffering comes from misidentification. And so to your question about how do you get back to the love and turn down the dial on the ego, is I have to be clear on like, am I identifying as my problem? Am I identifying as, you know, I'm Danielle and I have this persona and this is what is expected of me? Or am I identifying as like, hey, I'm a spiritual being. I am energy. I am a Taurus being, you know, Taurus, that kind of donut shape of light. I'm light. So, you know, when I just pause for a minute, and I can be in the middle of like a pissy email or some DM that I'm not appreciating, you know, or just walking through the woods by myself. And it's like, just hold on a second. When I just realize like, I'm a child of God. I am a light. I'm a ray in the original light. Even if my mind can't wrap around that, it shifts my energy, even just like for a minute. I just say, this problem is no big deal. I've been around for eons. Like, oh my God, I've been here for lifetimes. God has got me. I am here for a reason. This is not the reason I am here to deal, you know, to get distracted by this little thing. And then I just let a lot go. Like it's really returning my identification to I am love is the route to peace. So when you have a problem, everybody right now, like let's just talk about relationships for a second, because this is really what I'm hearing from my heart-centered people is like relationships are so strained and so fractured, and there's so much polarization with what's going on in the world. If you can be in the middle of that argument, whether it's on Instagram or it's in your kitchen, or you know, so many of us have holidays coming and you're arguing about choices that people are making, can you just for a minute just think to yourself, I'm love? And what would love do in that moment? Love might just shut her mouth. Love might be quiet. Love might think, oh, they're loved too. And this is hard work. This is the work. This is the work when someone is coming at you and you are feeling attacked, or when you are itching to like make your point, which we, you know, if we all want to be still and be honest, that impulse we all have so often to like get our point across, to be right. I mean, that's really just the ego calling the shots. And there's a little bit of attack there, right? And, you know, one thing, you know, I know, you know the Course intimately, but it's like, you know, Course teaches that like attack is just perception, right? Like nobody attacking you. You're just perceiving everything as attack. So when we're in those moments of just, you can just say, I am love, or I'm a child of God, or I'm meant to be here, whatever. Choose your loving thought that's going to help you get through this. And you will see attack. You will feel it very differently. It might be like this. You're at dinner and your mother-in-law is going to say something and you're going to just be like, wow. And you're going to want to go for the argument. And the perspective of love will see what she's trying to do and what you're trying to do, which is everybody's just trying to be right. Everybody's trying to be loved. Everybody's just trying to heal their wounds of not feeling seen or heard or felt. And then you breathe. And then you decide what you're going to say.
I love it.
What would love say?
I love the practicality of it. You know, one of my mega teachers, you know, in my classroom, is my husband, because, you know, he's constantly there in my face. And one thing that helps me is that consistently remembering that he is not the problem. He is not the cause of my suffering. I get to decide that. And it's very empowering, and it really releases not only myself, but it releases him. And guess what? I get to really experience love, true love, because my prayer always is, God, show me what real love is.
Yes.
Not the movie star love, not the, you know, the I complete you. Remember Jerry Maguire? You complete me. And oh my God, Danielle, I used to listen to the song. They made like a rap song or some song, and I would cry in the car in Miami, you know, oh, he completes me. And it would like be so romantic. Oh my goodness, boy, have those days changed. Thank God.
Yeah, I know that conversion.
Remember that? So with Christian, it's so beautiful because I get to see that there's only one hanging out here. Really, truly. When I get that he's just a mirror and there's just one hanging out here, it's like, it's my perception. I can go to that space and just come back to my sanity. And yeah, maybe the motivation is to talk about things. You know, maybe the motivation is to have a conversation. But at the same time, what teacher am I choosing to have this conversation with? Am I going to teacher of love or the teacher of fear? And then from there, it just even makes me want to cry thinking about it.
Yes.
Of the release that it's given my relationship of really seeing my brother and understanding that it's actually a blessing. Everything that he triggers, it's such a blessing. I'm grateful. Course in Miracles talks, love is the way I walk in gratitude. And we're grateful for, in the Course, we're actually grateful for our problems. We're grateful for the obstacles because they're giving us access to remember we've never left the mind of God. Bing! I think that's what we're going to call this interview, Danielle. Bing! Bing.
Yeah, that's, I was just thinking that today with my man, and how more often I choose silence these days. And that's my prayer too. So tell me your prayer again.
My prayer always is, Spirit, show me what real love is.
Yeah.
Like, what is real love? I don't want that bullshit, you know, romantic novella love. I want, what is love here?
Yeah, so I have a similar prayer. It changes every day, but that's it. It's just like, help me embody love. I want to embody love. And when I offer that up, I don't have as much to say.
Wow,
you know, it's like there's just not much to bring up. And like just this morning, my dude was like, what's up? Because I was being like I was a little agitated, and but I wasn't saying anything. And I was like, okay, you can tell me later. You know, like he knows me well enough, like it'll come up, you know. And we were walking by the ocean, and like there's nothing to say. There's nothing to say to correct his behavior. What love is going to do right now is just leave it. Just leave it. Yeah.
I love that you bring that up because I find myself doing that too, because it gives me an opportunity. That gives you an opportunity to step back and actually discern and be the observer instead of the like you're reacting. I think the silence helps to start to observe.
But what happens, to that end, what happens is the ego will come in and say, well, but if I don't bring this up, it's going to happen again. Or I need to bring this up because this is a boundary issue, or I need to bring this up so I get treated properly. Or, I mean, the ego will just go on. Oh, I need to bring it up because he wants to grow. I need to bring it up because I've done A Course in Miracles, but he hasn't. You know, like there's just, the ego will really get in there to justify all the reasons you should speak your piece to your partner or whoever to make things right. And my experience is that the heart is often like, hey, it happened yesterday. I'm here today. It happened 15 minutes ago. It's over. There's a bigger picture here about love and grace and fresh air and unity consciousness. It just doesn't matter. And my lived experience now is that things, contrary to what the shadow will tell you, things don't build up. Things do not build up. These unspoken stuff for me is like, it's actually, I just let the little grievance go every day. And the relationship gets more expanded and softer, and yeah, let the grievances go. Just let them go. My God, if I can't let a little thing go about him not showing up in the right way, which is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. If I can't let that go, how can I speak publicly at all about world peace? Really, come on. You know, what have I got to say about Afghanistan if I can't just get over a little slight like that, you know? Yeah.
Yeah, it's all about our willingness to walk the talk. And that's what I feel you're sharing here, Danielle, is your everyday way that you remember and you forget, and you remember and you forget. And I love that because it makes you human. It makes you like, and it also, that's why I like to share my personal stories with my students and in my platform, because we give others permission to be. We give other people permission to not make themselves wrong because they're thinking these things, or they're crazy, or they're a hot mess and there's something wrong with them. I feel it's very humble and beautiful for us to show up like this and say, hey, you know, I forget who I am, and then I remember. Like, you forgot who you were with him. You were so honest. I love that. It's like authenticity is so sexy, Danielle. You're so sexy right now. I just want to kiss your face. It's like, it's so, I don't know. I just love it, because then when somebody else is in that position, will say, hey, I remember when Danielle said in that she was judging, or she woke up in the morning like, you know, just believing that her man, her babe was her problem. And she was able to come back to love and then remember who she is and to let go of that grievance. It says something about you, and it's not easy. And that's why I want to let people know that this takes work. It takes being uncompromising, taking responsibility even if you don't want to, sometimes forgiveness even if you don't want to. You know, it's just a constant practice. I feel like in society, Danielle, we want instant gratification. It's like, I want it now. I want to have the healing now. Oh, let me, you know, do the desire mapping. Everything's going to be, you know, it's like this. It's like one foot in front of the other, and just grace.
Yes, but we can have instant gratification.
Yes.
There's peace available right now.
Yes.
But the ego does not want peace. And my work with shadow work and ego and all the woundedness and all that is, first of all, you got to see how you are in this dance all the time of like, I remember, I forget, I remember, I forget, I expand, I contract, I hold grievance, I forgive, all of that. And eventually we got to let the ego into the heart. Like, a lot of the teaching in our space of like wellness and personal development, I think pits us against the ego. Listen, the ego is also of God. God made shadow and light. We get to choose where we're going to be. But the ego is it just wants to come home too. So that's the acceptance of like, oh, I was short. I was agitated. I was trying to make a point. I let the ego win in that moment. And then instead of in that moment just saying, the ego the ego is my enemy. You have to say, ego, come in. You can relax. You can relax with me. Yeah, you're gonna forget. You're gonna forget that you're loved, and you're gonna do something ridiculous. But you can keep coming back. Keep coming back to me. Yeah.
I call it like the needy inner child.
Yeah.
Feels
Yeah.
like the needy inner child. And I think that for those, that know children, when they're needy, there's a sense of, giving love and holding space instead of like making them wrong, so if we make our ego wrong, we're just adding to the guilt and adding to the fear. To conclude, I always, the Course in Miracles says that happiness is our inheritance, happiness is our function. It says happiness is our birthright. It says God's will for us is to be happy. And I can't help but think, and I always say this, and it's something that you just spoke to, of like that we can have peace right now. And I wholeheartedly believe that. And it's actually, when I do interviews or when I teach, I always say that that's actually natural. We've been conditioned that the fear is natural. We've been conditioned that the sadness is natural. We've conditioned that depression is normal. Like, all these things are normal. And what I'm here to say, and I think also you with your work, is like, no, like love is natural, happiness is natural. Like, why can't we play opposite day, Danielle? Like opposite day. How about things easy is normal? How about having perfect health is normal? And changing the conversation, because if you say, and you tell me this, if you say, oh, is it normal to be happy 24/7? I say yes, because it's your birthright. Like, it's always there. You just forget. Now, people would say it can't be. But if you say fear is normal 24 hours a day, people would believe it. Now, this is what's going on here. So I feel that the conversation needs to change of like, it's our birthright. Like, it's natural.
Yes.
You know what I mean, my friend?
Yeah. I'm with you. I'm in.
I'm so passionate about it because, oh my God, it's like brought me so much peace to think this way. It's really brought me like, it's like I feel like Mozart music. Like, even though something may be going on in my life, there's just like a steady symphony of peace in my life because of that, because of remembering that inheritance, and that it can be opposite. I don't need to, suffering doesn't need to be my normal anymore. And we're so worthy of that. And thank you for teaching people that we're so worthy of that. Like, it's our divine right.
It's our divine right. Yeah. So it's like the true self, divinity, does not even ask if we're worthy. It's a given. It's like, using the metaphor of children really works a lot in like our spiritual development. So it's like, you mentioned the inner child. It's like, your child that you love, coming up to you saying, am I worthy of love? You just be like, you don't even have to ask that. What a silly question. Of course, of course, of course, of course, of course. We don't even ask that around here. It's a yes. It's a yes. Yeah, there is no division. There's no question about worth. You just are. You are worth itself. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Danielle, for this conversation. I'm happy you said yes, and I just been feeling really connected to you. Yeah, I don't know what it is. I just feel really, really connected to you and your work, and yeah, I hope that we collaborate more going forward.
Thank you for everything you're doing in the world, and just like putting out the light and bringing people together around the light. It's really beautiful. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, sister. All right, everyone. So
love
you guys, like a big coconut. Till next time.
I love.
Bye.